Sometimes you want a game where you can mostly turn your brain off and just beat up some monsters. No having to think, am I the bad guy? No trying to max out stats or trying to find the optimal experience farm. Just beat the monsters and be the hero. That is what Deck 13 Interactive and Focus Entertainment have tried to deliver in Atlas Fallen. These guys have made both Lords of the Fallen and The Surge 1 and 2. I enjoyed all three of these titles, and from the moment I saw the Avatar-like sand gliding and the earth-shattering heavy combos from giant sand fists, I knew this was a game I would keep my eye on. In a genre that is known to weave fluid movement and hard-hitting combos, will this title rise to the level of gods, or will it Atlas fall to the sands? We start off as a Nameless, a cast of people who are essentially serfs or slaves. A people who are thought of so lowly that they are denied even a name, called instead by what they do or a description of a tool such as Tracker, Splinter, or Appleseed. When beginning a new adventure, you get to create your Nameless. The character creator has a decent selection to make who you want, but unfortunately that's about the extent of depth of your character. Throughout the game I felt almost the entire cast fell flat, from the literally nameless NPCs to the emotionally flat voice acting. While your character does have options in dialogue, there are not any choices to develop the player's personality, just other ways to get basically the same information delivered. The story unfortunately doesn't offer much of a reprieve either.
I run now, not to, but from.
The general story is something we have seen time and time again. A nameless underdog finds a strange artifact holding a peculiar power. Simultaneously, two rival gods have been fighting for centuries, and wouldn't you know it, you're suddenly in the middle of it. While you can pull off this story and keep it original, Atlas Fallen just can't overcome its baseness. Get this power, fight the bad, save the people. Minus a few points of flavor here and there, it really boils down to this. Other than a few spread out interactions, the story and characters seem to fade into the background. Speaking of backgrounds, the set design of this world leaves me conflicted. On the one hand, the harsh desert landscape makes the feeling of desperation and desolation evident throughout the land. On the other hand, while there are small areas where the biomes differ, the overwhelming amount of time you are in areas that seem to blend into each other become one gigantic sandy mess. Environments are dotted by small forest areas and ruins, which do try to break up the monotony, but in the end, it still feels lifeless and empty. By deactivating watchtowers, you're able to bring some semblance of life back to some places, but it really doesn't impact anything in a meaningful way. While I understand why the developers went this route to fit the tone of the story, it just seemed to culminate in a lackluster world that left me not interested in exploring any more than necessary. Okay, I know I may have been a bit harsh, but this game has some solid points as well. The music strikes a delicate balance, fading unobtrusively into the background, to the point of not being noticeable. Then, all of a sudden, when fighting a large encounter, the sound of grating sands and roaring monsters coalesce into a crescendo of shattering glass, elevating the moment to new heights. After all, who doesn't like the sound of breaking glass when you won't get in trouble for it? The landscapes, while mostly barren and dreary, are rendered beautifully. When looking at some of the skylines early on, it really can be worth your time to use the photo mode to catch some great landscape shots as well. Performance-wise, it runs consistently as well. I experienced no graphical errors, no stuttering, and the closest thing I had to issues graphically were some pop-ins of items outside of the render area. Surprisingly, my run was bug-free as well, minus a small issue at the very beginning that was immediately fixed by reloading. The shining jewel of this game is undoubtedly the combat. Though you start simple with only one available weapon and a few short combos, the game quickly expands with gauntlet upgrades, 2 additional weapons, and a unique momentum system. As you upgrade your gauntlet, you gain more slots in order to use the various essence stones. These essence stones come in 2 major forms with 5 different categories. The major forms are active stones and passive stones. Active stones are your swappable skill stones that allow you to activate a variety of abilities. Passive stones are just that, passive abilities that can buff yourself, debuff enemies, send out projectiles, or even do special effects when certain moves are done. The 5 categories are damage, tricks, survivability, healing, and momentum. Damage stones allow you to either deal direct damage to your enemies or boost the damage you deal. Trick stones give status effects such as slowing enemies or stopping the summoning of new enemies. Healing stones are straightforward and increase or modify your healing healing abilities. Momentum stones are all about affecting the gain and loss of momentum, and what's interesting about the stones is they tie directly into the momentum system. You are able to slot in a total of 11 stones, one each active stone in bronze, silver, and gold, as well as 3 passive in bronze and silver, and 2 passive in gold. This allows you to deeply change the way combat plays out to fit your personal gameplay style. You are only able to access the skills and abilities when your momentum meter is at the level of the skill or higher. This means you do better in combat, your skills will essentially become grander. There is a caveat, however. The more momentum you have, the more damage you'll take as well. This becomes a deadly game of balance as the choice between better damage or more survivability becomes vital in the later game. I will say I had 2 true issues with the gameplay: the camera and the link. Often I found myself dying due to the camera going too close or through an enemy or object. Normally, locking onto an enemy can somewhat alleviate the issue, but here the targeting system just doesn't really work, which is honestly a shame for all the hard work put into the combat. The combat was truly fun at times, but ended up becoming a chore in the latter hours. Unfortunately, I use the term latter hours very loosely. This game is short, there's no way around that. I finished my playthrough in just over 12 hours, and that's after searching for most of the collectibles. Deck 13 have added plenty of side quests and favors, but honestly only a few feel rewarding enough to be worthwhile. If you wanted to 100% this title, it would probably take about 15 to 17 hours. To be fair, the price point comes just shy of the normal full price point for games at $60, so take that as you will. Anyone that knows me knows I have a soft spot for brawler or hack and slash action games. Something about letting your brain take a back seat while you let your instincts dodge, parry, and hack and smash away is just a good time. Atlas Fallen brought me back to what some consider the heyday of action games. Early 2000 games like Prototype, Darksiders, and even the original God of War. Even with mid-level storytelling, unemotional voice acting, and a camera that made me want to toss my system. The fact that I still mostly enjoyed my time with the game says a lot about how good the game could have been. I truly hope Deck 13 and Focus Interactive continue to do something with this IP, because I really think with some work, polish, and a lot of love, this could be a great beginning for a new action classic. For now though, Atlas has fallen to a 6 out of 10. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming reviews, news, or previews. For Hardwired, I'm Alex Richardson. Thanks for watching.